Welcome to tonight's bedtime lecture. Please make yourself comfortable. Maybe even sit in your favorite chair, because in the next few hours, we'll take a calm and gentle journey, not through wars or empires, but through something far older and much closer. Tonight, we explore DNA's secret story. Somewhere between your heartbeat and the stars, something ancient stirs. You close your eyes, and the noise of the day slowly fades, replaced by the soft hum of existence. Every breath feels like a doorway opening inward. Every exhale, a gentle surrender. You are about to journey into the smallest places, inside yourself, inside life itself. There, beyond thought and sound, lies a story written not on paper, but in light. A language older than words, older than memory. The language of life. Tonight, you travel not outward but inward, past your skin, past the rivers of your veins, into the quiet kingdoms where your cells dream, where every strand of DNA is a poem, and every heartbeat a pulse of the universe remembering itself. So, take a deep breath. Let your body soften. Let curiosity glow like a lantern in your chest. This is where your story begins. In the whisper that lives in every cell. Close your eyes and listen, not to the world outside, but to the gentle rhythm beneath your skin. It is not the rush of your heartbeat or the rise and fall of your breath, but something quieter, something deeper, a hum, steady and unbroken, weaving through every cell. Every moment, every memory of you. This is the whisper of your DNA, the silent architect of your being, the story written in spirals of light. You drift inward, past the surface of your body, past the warmth of blood and the shimmer of nerves, until you find yourself floating in a landscape unseen. It is not darkness that greets you, but a soft, luminous haze, a twilight world where billions of microscopic stars shimmer within you. Each one is a cell, alive and glowing, breathing its quiet purpose. And in each cell, coiled gently in the heart of its nucleus, lies a long, delicate thread, the thread that hums your name. You move closer, drawn toward one of these radiant spheres. It pulses with life, and as you near, you see the spiraling staircase of DNA unfurl like a silken ribbon suspended in air. It twists and turns, elegant and unending, a double helix spinning with grace. And as it moves, you hear its whisper, not in words, but in rhythm, like a lullaby older than time. It tells you that you are made of repetition and memory, of starlight reshaped into form. Every living thing carries this same whisper, from the tiniest moss to the towering whale, from the seed that sleeps in winter soil to the child yet to be born. It is the shared breath of life, spoken in 4 simple letters, A, T, C, and G, a quiet alphabet that composes the symphony of existence. Those letters, tiny molecules dancing in pairs, form the poetry of life itself. They arrange and rearrange, forming sentences that tell your body what to do, when to heal, when to grow, when to rest. It is a book written inside you, endlessly self-reading, endlessly alive. You imagine those letters glowing like lanterns, adenine reaching for thymine, cytosine for guanine, each pair like partners in a dance choreographed billions of years ago. They spin together, forming ladders of meaning, bridges of instruction that hold your being in place. The more you listen, the more you realize that this isn't just information, it's music. The code doesn't shout, it sings. It sings of survival, of adaptation, of love, for every cell strives to continue, to carry forward the message it has guarded since the dawn of time. Now, drift deeper into the spiral. Imagine following that ribbon as it twists through the microscopic corridors of your own body. Each turn feels infinite, yet familiar, as though you've been walking these pathways forever. You see how the DNA folds upon itself, compacting meters of code into something so small it can live inside a cell. It's a miracle of efficiency, a masterpiece of structure, like galaxies folded into a grain of sand. And still, the whisper continues. It tells stories of origins, of ancient oceans where the first molecules found one another, where chemistry became longing and longing became life. Those early whispers have never ceased. Through every generation, through every transformation, they have traveled, from ancestor to child, from cell to cell, carrying the same soft rhythm. When you breathe, when you blink, when you dream, your cells remember. They remember sunlight filtered through ancient seas. They remember the first spark that leapt between molecules and said, "Live." You feel a pulse, gentle, resonant, like a heartbeat made of light. This pulse belongs not to your heart, but to your DNA itself. It beats with the rhythm of replication, the act of copying life's script so it may continue. Every moment, deep inside you, countless cells divide, each one duplicating its code with astonishing precision. It's as if tiny librarians work tirelessly in silence, ensuring that not a single letter of your inner story is lost. But sometimes, in the quiet process of copying, a small mistake is made, a letter out of place, a punctuation mark forgotten. And yet, even these mistakes can become beauty. A change in the code might alter a color, a shape, a trait. And over millennia, these little shifts have painted the vast diversity of life. From those errors, evolution found its art. It reminds you that imperfection is not failure. It is the source of creation. You float between your cells now, like a traveler wandering through a city of light. Each cell a glowing dome, each nucleus a temple of instruction. And all of them, every one, sing in unison. The sound is not loud, but endless, a soft harmony that feels like belonging. You realize you are both the singer and the song. The universe is not something outside of you. It is written within you, encoded in your very being. You pause to listen more closely. There's a warmth in this whisper, something that feels familiar, tender, like a mother's hum before sleep. You realize that DNA is not just the blueprint of your body, it's also a record of care. Every strand has been protected, carried and passed forward by generations of lives who existed so that you might one day be. You are a continuation, not a beginning. You are the echo of all who came before, their dreams crystallized into code, their survival etched into your cells. You imagine the double helix stretching endlessly behind you, a golden thread connecting you to every living thing that has ever breathed, to the first creature that crawled from the sea, to the ancient trees that grew beside it, to the stardust that gave them all their atoms. You see how everything living is kin, bound by the same letters, rearranged in infinite variation. Life is not a series of separate beings, but a single, ongoing sentence, and you are one of its words. You take a breath and feel that truth deepen. Your body hums quietly, as though acknowledging the thought. Every heartbeat, every cell division, every pulse of energy is the universe speaking through you. You are not a bystander to creation. You are creation, continuing itself in real time. The whisper is the bridge between matter and meaning. It is how dust became dream. The more you listen, the softer the world becomes. Boundaries dissolve. The air, your body, the stars that birthed your elements, they blend into one continuous presence. You feel yourself expanding, not outward, but inward, into the infinite within. You sense that this is only the beginning, the threshold of something larger, something waiting beyond the helix's final turn. The whisper deepens, slow and steady. It asks you to remember, but also to wonder. If the code within you holds your story, where did the first story come from? Who wrote the original song that life has been singing ever since? You drift on that thought, the hum of your cells fading into the gentle sound of possibility. The question carrying you softly toward the next mystery that waits in the dark. You float again within the quiet glow of your own being, surrounded by the luminous swirl of your cells. The whisper you followed in the last chapter has not faded. It deepens, focusing now into something more distinct. A rhythm, a pattern, a repetition so perfect it feels sacred. You realize that behind every note of this whisper lies an alphabet. 4 simple letters, humming together in eternal harmony. A, T, C, and G. Adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. The 4 small molecules that carry the blueprint of all life. At first, their names sound complex, but as you linger with them, they soften. They are not words meant to confuse. They are syllables of creation, 4 notes in the song of existence. You begin to see them not as chemicals, but as symbols, ancient runes glowing within every cell of your body. Each one has its partner. A always reaches for T. C always seeks G. It is a perfect devotion, a pairing so precise that it has never changed through billions of years. You imagine them dancing, A and T spinning together like 2 streams that merge into one, C and G swirling in a mirrored rhythm beside them. Their dance is quiet but infinite, filling the spiral of DNA with order and grace. As you drift closer, you can almost see their motion, 2 ribbons winding around each other, a staircase made of love and mathematics. Each step on that staircase is a pair of letters, locked together in unity. Thousands of pairs, millions, billions, each one a fragment of your identity. It feels almost impossible that so much complexity could come from so little. Yet here you are, living proof that life's greatest story can be written in only 4 characters. You think about language, how human speech is made of alphabets, how stories are woven from letters. DNA, too, is a language, but it is older than any spoken word, older than ink, older even than thought. It was the first story ever told, the story of how to live. The letters of DNA do not form sentences as we know them, but sequences, long chains of instruction. Every gene is a paragraph, every chromosome a chapter, and your whole body, your whole self, is the book. You imagine opening that book, page by page. Each cell in your body holds the entire story, the same story, written with breathtaking precision. It's as though you are made of libraries, each one containing the complete manuscript of you. And yet, these letters are not silent. They are constantly being read, transcribed, translated, converted from code into motion, into life. The language of DNA becomes the rhythm of your heart, the shape of your hands, the sparkle of your eyes. You listen closer. There's a pulse within the pattern, a steady beat that feels like breath. It is the pulse of replication, the moment when DNA opens its spiral and allows each strand to be copied. The pairs split apart, each letter waiting to find its partner again, to recreate the same code in a new cell. It's a quiet ritual of renewal, the letters ensuring that life continues without forgetting itself. And yet, within this perfect balance, there is room for change. Sometimes a letter is misplaced, an A where a G should be, a C that forgets its partner. At first, this seems like a mistake, but as you drift deeper into the idea, you sense something profound. Without these tiny changes, life would never have evolved, never have learned to adapt or dream. Every species, every color, every heartbeat owes its uniqueness to the small moments where the alphabet shifted. Perfection, you realize, is not the goal. The beauty lies in variation, in the living poetry of chance. You watch as the letters form and reform within the soft blue light of your imagination. A and T glow like golden threads, while C and G shimmer in silver tones. They weave together, building patterns like woven cloth, intricate and endless. You see how every organism carries its own version of this tapestry, how your code is not separate, but connected to all others. You share letters with the oak tree, with the whale, with the bird that sings before dawn. Life's alphabet is shared across everything that breathes, everything that grows. It's humbling, and yet deeply comforting. You are not alone in your pattern. You are part of a universal conversation. The same letters that shaped your hands also built the wings of butterflies, the roots of forests, the shimmer of coral under the sea. The universe seems to favor simplicity. 4 small letters, rearranged into infinite possibility. It's as though creation whispered, "Let there be life," and these 4 symbols answered, "We will tell it how." You begin to sense that there's a hidden elegance in this simplicity. 4 molecules, endlessly repeating, form every living design the world has ever known. In that repetition lies both unity and diversity, the two great forces that sustain existence. It is a reminder that even the smallest components can hold infinite meaning, that greatness can come from the gentlest beginnings. The whisper of the letters grows softer now, dissolving back into the quiet hum of your body. You feel them resting beneath your awareness, working tirelessly without need for thanks. You picture them as glowing embers, weaving your identity moment by moment. And somewhere deep inside, a peaceful truth settles in. You are written not once, but countless times. You are not a single creation, but an ongoing sentence, a phrase that life keeps refining. The alphabet continues its endless dance, silent yet luminous. It never pauses, never truly ends. It will keep speaking long after you sleep, long after the night passes. For DNA does not stop when you rest. It hums beneath your dreams, ensuring that you wake again as yourself. You float in that awareness, light and calm. The letters shimmer one last time, then fade into the deep glow of your cells. Their language continues in silence, perfectly understood, perfectly alive. And as you drift toward the edge of sleep, you sense another question forming. If these letters can write every living thing, what mysterious hand first chose them? Who composed the alphabet of life? And where might its music lead next? You carry that quiet wonder forward, toward the next unfolding chapter where the code itself begins to dream. You begin this chapter standing at the threshold of something ancient, something both within you and beyond you. The air feels soft, filled with a faint shimmer, as though the light itself is breathing. Before you rises a staircase unlike any other, delicate, luminous, winding upward and downward at once, vanishing into endlessness. It seems to float in space, woven from strands of sugar and phosphate, glowing faintly gold and blue. This is the double helix, the spiral staircase of life. You take a gentle step closer. Each rung gleams like crystal, and between them you see the paired letters, A with T, C with G, holding the rails together in perfect symmetry. The structure hums softly, a tone you can feel rather than hear. It vibrates in rhythm with your heartbeat, a melody of chemistry that feels like music. You realize that you're not looking at something still. You're watching life in motion. The helix turns slowly, as though it's breathing, coiling and uncoiling like a living thing. You reach out, your hand brushing the spiral's surface. It feels warm, almost pulsing, like the skin of something alive. As your fingers graze one rung, a spark of memory travels through you. You see oceans, ancient and green, where the first molecules gathered, drawn together by invisible threads of attraction. From those primordial waters, the first spiral began to turn. It was fragile, fleeting, yet it endured, because the shape itself was perfect. The double helix is not just a design, it is a solution. The universe's way of folding infinity into something small enough to fit inside a cell. Its two strands wind around each other like twin souls, held together by hydrogen bonds, weak individually, strong together. You think about that balance, how strength is found in gentleness, how unity arises from small, fleeting touches. Every step of the staircase is a bond, a promise that life will continue. As you ascend, the spiral seems to respond. Each turn reveals a new shimmer of color, a shift in the rhythm, a deepening of the hum. The structure bends and curves gracefully, never breaking, never tangled. It feels like the very shape of harmony, geometry meeting purpose. The sugar phosphate backbone glows like ivory rails, steady and repeating, while the base pairs bridge across, holding the two spirals in eternal conversation. You pause to listen to that conversation. It's not made of words, but of balance, attraction and release, pairing and separation. Every twist of the helix is a moment of trust between two strands. One holds, the other mirrors. One gives, the other receives. Together, they form a pattern so stable it has survived billions of years of storms, heat, and time itself.
The spiral is not just structure. It is resilience embodied.
The further you climb, the more the staircase begins to blur. Its steps widen into loops of light, its rails glowing brighter with each turn. You begin to understand that this spiral is not just within your body. It is a universal pattern, echoed everywhere. In galaxies swirling through the void, in shells coiled along the sea floor, in the weathered spirals of old trees. The same geometry that shapes your DNA shapes the cosmos. Everything that turns, grows, or evolves follows this rhythm, the rhythm of the spiral. You glance downward, and the steps below you shine like memories. You see life unfolding, single-celled organisms dividing, learning, becoming more complex. You see the helix copied and passed along, to plants, to animals, to ancestors who walked long before you. Each generation carried it like a torch, ensuring that the song of the spiral would never fade. The light from those ancient lives rises toward you now, merging into your own reflection. You realize that every step you take upward has already been walked by countless others. And yet, in your climb, the spiral grows longer still. The helix turns again, slower now, and its hum becomes almost audible, a low, soothing tone that feels like a heartbeat inside the universe. You let it wrap around you, letting the sound fill your breath. Each pulse feels like both movement and stillness, like the ocean's waves lapping against eternity. You understand that the spiral doesn't really move through space. It moves through time. It carries memory, evolution, and identity, not as static information, but as a living rhythm. You look at one of the base pairs again, tiny molecules reaching across the gap. You see how easily they could come apart, and yet how perfectly they know how to find each other again. That knowledge, that instinct to reunite, is part of what makes life possible. It's a quiet miracle. The bonds are weak enough to open when it's time to copy, yet strong enough to hold when it's time to endure. You realize that this delicate balance is what all of nature seeks, the art of holding and letting go. The spiral continues upward, and you feel lighter with every step. The walls of the helix begin to dissolve into light. Around you, the staircase expands into a glowing corridor of intertwined paths, like threads weaving through the fabric of space. You see that each strand of DNA is not alone. Millions of them spiral together inside your body, forming an unseen architecture of life. They twist in harmony, each one aware of its place, each one contributing to the vast, silent chorus of being. As you rise, the hum begins to merge with your own breath. You feel that the spiral isn't something you're climbing anymore. It's something you are. Your body, your thoughts, even your dreams are part of this coiling pattern. Every time your cells divide, the staircase rebuilds itself with perfect patience, step by step, rung by rung. Even when you sleep, the spiral keeps turning, keeping you alive in the quiet language of chemistry. The higher you go, the softer everything becomes. The staircase of light begins to fade at the edges, blending into mist. You can no longer tell where one strand ends and the other begins. You are surrounded now by nothing but the spiral's glow, its soft hum vibrating through your bones. It feels endless, not upward or downward, but inward, as though every turn brings you closer to the center of yourself. You realize that the spiral's secret is not in its height or its symmetry, but in its continuity. It is never broken. Even when one cell dies, another carries the same twist forward. Even when species vanish, the pattern persists somewhere new. The spiral remembers. It keeps the memory of life itself. Every breath, every birth, every heartbeat that ever was. You close your eyes and listen to its rhythm one last time. It is the sound of balance, of creation held in motion. It is the soft turning of galaxies, the curl of waves, the unfurling of a fern in spring. The same pattern that shaped your body has shaped the universe. You feel an immense calm, the comfort of knowing that everything that spirals endures. The light around you softens to gold. You take one final step, and the staircase dissolves completely, leaving only its afterglow in your mind. You float in silence, held by the same invisible geometry that once held the first spark of life. And somewhere deep within that quiet, a new thought begins to form. If the spiral carries memory, then what else might it remember? Perhaps, beyond its final turn, it remembers where life first found its spark, and how starlight became the seed of everything living. You drift toward that question, toward the shimmer of the next mystery, as the spiral hums softly beneath your dreams. The night is deep and still, yet within you, an unseen flurry of motion unfolds. Your body, so quiet on the outside, is a realm of tireless workers. They do not rest when you do. They hum through the darkness, their rhythm older than dreams. Every heartbeat sends the signal that the shift has begun, the copying, the mending, the renewal. Your cells are awake, reading and rewriting the story of you. You imagine this process as a tiny library made of light. Rows upon rows of DNA strands stretch endlessly, their spirals glistening like threads of silk. Within this vast library, countless librarians, enzymes, proteins, molecular machines move gracefully along the double helix. Their touch is gentle, yet exact. Each one knows its role, its purpose, its timing, as though guided by a memory that predates time itself. At the heart of it all is the great act of copying, replication. You watch as the double helix slowly unwinds, its two strands separating with a soft sigh. The hydrogen bonds, delicate bridges between paired letters, open just enough to allow the story to be read. And there, hovering nearby, new molecules wait, free-floating letters eager to find their match. A reaches for T, C seeks G. They find each other instantly, as though reuniting with long-lost friends. In this quiet meeting, the script of life renews itself, letter by letter, line by line. The enzyme helicase leads the dance, a patient hand unzipping the spiral, making space for creation. Then comes DNA polymerase, the meticulous builder, sliding along each open strand, choosing and placing each new letter with tender precision. You can almost see its movement, slow and deliberate, tracing the path of your code like a monk copying sacred text. There is no hurry, only certainty. No noise, only rhythm. It is creation through care, not force. You watch the process with awe. There is a beauty in its repetition, an elegance in the way the molecules know where to go, what to do. No command is spoken, yet every motion is understood. It is as if your body remembers how to build itself, over and over again, without ever forgetting a single word. You realize that the language of life doesn't need consciousness to be wise. It simply is. Sometimes, though, even the most careful scribe makes a small slip, a misplaced letter, a skipped phrase. Most of the time, repair enzymes follow close behind, catching the error before it can linger. They edit the script, correct the line, restore balance. This, too, is part of the miracle. Not perfection, but persistence. Your body allows for small mistakes and then quietly fixes them, ensuring the story continues smoothly. You think about how this same act has been repeated billions upon billions of times, from the first cell to you, through every generation of life. It is the oldest copying machine in existence, still running flawlessly in the dark. You close your eyes and imagine those enzymes as tiny artisans, working by lantern light. Each one bends close to the glowing helix, reading the faint blue script that curls before them. Their movements are choreographed with care. One unwinds, another copies, another checks. It is a silent orchestra of precision. You can almost hear their faint hum, like the ticking of an ancient clock, keeping the rhythm of life. The process is both mechanical and magical. It feels strange that something so profoundly alive could also be so mathematical. Every bond formed, every letter chosen, follows rules written in chemistry, yet what emerges is identity, memory, and self. It's as though the laws of physics decided to write poetry, and the result was you. Replication isn't just survival, it's remembrance. Your body remembers its shape, its voice, its story. And each night, as you sleep, it retells that story in molecules, ensuring that you awaken as yourself once more. You drift deeper into the image, into the molecular library. The scene changes slightly now. Some of the librarians are not copying, they are repairing. You see tiny flashes of light as they mend a broken strand, patching a gap, restoring order where the structure has frayed. These are the healers of your microscopic world. They find damage caused by sunlight, by time, by chance, and they fix it without question. There is no judgment, no pause. Only quiet dedication. You begin to feel the comfort in this invisible care. Even as you dream, a part of you is always awake, always protecting. Your body is not fragile. It is vigilant, devoted, endlessly rebuilding. The ancient copy machine within you hums without needing direction, like an old friend who knows exactly what to do. You realize that life itself is built on this trust, the certainty that the next moment will take shape because the previous one is faithfully remembered. As you float through the dark inner world, you notice something profound. The same replication that keeps you alive also keeps all life connected. In every plant, every creature, every being, the same process unfolds, night after night. The same enzymes, the same letters, the same delicate art of renewal. The differences between species, between you and a blade of grass, are only variations in the sequence, small edits of a shared text. Life, you realize, is one great manuscript, written in countless hands, each line echoing the same refrain. Continue. You feel a quiet reverence for the simplicity of it all. No noise, no struggle, just constant, gentle creation. You are made, remade, and maintained by forces too small to see, but too faithful to doubt. They ask for nothing, they seek no praise. They simply continue, because that is what life does. It continues. The hum grows softer now. You sense the molecular workers finishing their nightly tasks, sealing the strands, closing the spiral's pages. The double helix folds neatly back into its resting form, glowing faintly like a lantern dimming at dawn. The copy is complete. The story of you is secure once more. You exhale slowly. Your breath feels synchronized with this inner rhythm, the inhale of separation, the exhale of reunion. Everything within you has been refreshed, rewritten, renewed. And yet, you know that even now, the process does not truly end. For as long as you live, the machine will hum on, keeping you whole. You linger in that awareness, comforted by its steadiness. The universe may shift, stars may die, oceans may change. But inside you, the script continues, quietly, perfectly. And as you drift closer to sleep, you wonder, if every cell is a scribe and every strand a story, who first taught them to write? Who pressed the first key on this ancient copy machine? You follow that thought gently into the next darkness, where the origins of replication begin to glow. The night inside you is never silent. Even in stillness, the hum of creation continues, quiet, patient, tireless. Your cells are always at work, copying and rebuilding the story of you, letter by letter, strand by strand. But every so often, amid that beautiful precision, something unexpected happens. A letter is switched, a bond is broken too soon, a word is rewritten in a way it was not before. At first glance, it seems like a mistake, a flaw in the perfect rhythm of replication. Yet, as you drift deeper into the thought, you sense something more profound. Imperfection is not an interruption of life's song. It is the music itself. You imagine the double helix turning in slow motion, each step of its spiral glowing softly. The enzymes glide along the strands, their movements steady and sure. But then, in one small moment, a mismatched letter slips through the careful dance. An A that pairs with a C instead of T, a G where it shouldn't be. A single molecule out of place, a single note slightly off key. And yet, that soft discord doesn't stop the song. The spiral continues, humming onward, embracing the change. You watch as the new strand forms, a little different, a little uncertain. The repair enzymes pause, inspect, and sometimes they let it be. Not every error is fixed because not every error is wrong. Some become invisible whispers in the code, changing nothing. Others alter something small, the hue of an eye, the curve of a petal, the shape of a fin. And a few, the rarest of all, open new doors in the architecture of life itself. From such tiny tremors, evolution takes its first steps. You drift through this microscopic landscape, watching as the mutations shimmer like faint ripples in a quiet sea. Each one carries a question. Will this change survive? Most fade into silence, forgotten by time, but some persist. Not by luck alone, but because they bring something new, something useful, something that helps life adapt. The air-breathing lung, the folding of wings, the opening of flowers, all began as accidents that found their purpose. It is humbling to think that every grace in nature, every wonder you've ever known, began as an error that refused to vanish. You sense that life itself is not striving for perfection, but for possibility. Every copy of the code is a chance, a new arrangement of old notes. Just as a musician improvises within a melody, DNA improvises within its own rhythm, exploring the edges of its pattern. You can almost hear it, the quiet music of change, a symphony composed over billions of years. It is not the steady hum of sameness, but the subtle shifting of notes, the trembling harmony of trial and error. You imagine the world long ago, when life was still fragile and uncertain. Tiny cells floated in ancient seas, their codes simple, their futures unwritten. Mutations happened constantly, some destructive, some silent, some miraculous. Through endless repetition, the music found balance, not static, but alive with variation. Each change that helped a cell survive became a verse in the greater song of life. Generation after generation, the melody deepened, adding chords, harmonies, crescendos. And even now, within you, that same composition continues. You look closer, and the DNA spiral becomes a vast instrument. The letters vibrate like strings under unseen fingers, each combination producing a different note. When a mutation occurs, the pitch changes, sometimes sharp, sometimes soft, sometimes entirely new. The organism that carries it becomes a new refrain, adding its sound to the universal chorus. Some notes fade quickly, others echo for eons. From this ever-changing score, evolution writes itself, measure by measure. You realize that nature has always been an artist of improvisation. Where humans seek control, nature seeks variation. It doesn't fear mistakes. It plays with them, weaving them into design. The branching of trees, the colors of feathers, the pattern of snowflakes, all are born from small irregularities, finding beauty in freedom. Even the shape of your face, the texture of your skin, the sound of your voice, they exist because, somewhere long ago, a cell chose to try something new. You are the child of those brave errors, the living proof that imperfection creates wonder. You drift deeper into the image, feeling the poetry of it unfold. A mutation is not chaos, it is creativity. The universe experiments through you, reshaping itself one letter at a time. You imagine millions of possibilities branching from a single change, like ripples spreading across a pond. Some led nowhere, some led to extinction, and some, a precious few, become stars in the story of evolution. You feel awe at how patient life has been, how gentle its courage truly is. It does not rush, it tries. And when it fails, it tries again. Somewhere deep within you, in a quiet cell at rest, another replication begins. A letter slips. The code shifts ever so slightly. You do not feel it, yet it happens. A new possibility written in the dark. It may vanish, or it may one day become something entirely new, something no one has seen before. In that uncertainty lies the secret of vitality. You are not a static being, but a living draft, always editing, always evolving. You think about how this truth mirrors your life in larger ways. Every decision, every mistake, every misstep, each one a mutation of experience. You learn, you adapt, you grow. The lessons that hurt the most often lead to your greatest strength. Perhaps, on every scale, life speaks the same message. Don't fear the stumble. It's how the dance changes. Don't curse the wrong note. It's how the melody finds its next refrain. The thought fills you with warmth. You no longer see perfection as stillness, but as movement. A balance that includes its own breaking. The beauty of life is not that it stays the same, but that it continues to create itself anew. You are a song still being written, a chord that has not finished resonating, and every small imperfection in your design is part of the harmony. The music of change surrounds you now, soft, endless, and alive. You hear the overlapping notes of all life, the sigh of trees, the heartbeat of whales, the pulse of your own veins, each one carrying mutations that made survival possible. The symphony is not perfect. It is full of dissonance and surprise. But within that complexity lies its beauty. Without variation, there would be no evolution. Without mistakes, no melody. You rest in that understanding. The spiral within you keeps turning, still humming, still improvising. The molecular instruments play on, their rhythm never faltering. You sense the continuity of it all. From the first spark of life to this very moment, the same music plays. And though it changes, though it stumbles, though it sometimes falls silent, it always finds its way back to harmony. You exhale slowly, feeling that harmony within your breath. The air feels like music now, each inhalation a note, each exhalation a release. You realize that to live is to mutate, to evolve, to sing a slightly different song each day. Imperfection is not an error to fix, but an invitation to create. And as the final hum fades into stillness, another question stirs. If change is the composer of life, what force listens, guiding its rhythm toward beauty? You drift toward that thought, carried by the soft pulse of possibility, as the music of change leads you into the next unfolding mystery. Inside you, the night glows with quiet purpose. The spiral script rests within its chamber, folded in still elegance, yet it is not idle. Somewhere, in the tender hum of a living cell, a signal stirs, the silent call to create. From the long scroll of DNA, a message is chosen, unspooled, and set free. What was once a hidden line in the library of life begins to speak. You watch as the double helix gently parts, like the opening of an ancient book. One of its strands serves as a guide, a pattern to be read by small molecular scribes. These scribes, enzymes of remarkable grace, glide along the strand, matching each letter with care. Where DNA writes in its deep alphabet of A, T, C, and G, the messenger RNA replies with U instead of T, a subtle accent in the same eternal language. This process is called transcription, though it feels more like devotion, a prayer copied from an ancient hymn, carried faithfully forward. The messenger RNA, the mRNA, is born from this ritual.
A shimmering thread of code, light and fragile, yet filled with instruction.
It detaches from the nucleus, leaving the sanctuary where the DNA remains guarded.
You follow it as it drifts through the cytoplasm, moving like a whisper through a vast liquid sea.
It carries within it a sentence that only the cell can understand, a blueprint not for thought or memory, but for being. The mRNA finds its destination, the ribosome, the cell's miraculous workshop. You see it now, a rounded structure, half ancient machine, half living artist. It reads the message, 3 letters at a time, each triplet a code for an amino acid. Every 3-letter word, a codon, is a command, a single beat in the rhythm of creation. You can almost hear the soft clicking as the ribosome moves along the strand, reading, translating, building. Tiny couriers arrive, carrying amino acids, the building blocks of proteins. These couriers are tRNAs, each holding one specific piece of matter shaped by billions of years of perfection. They align with the mRNA, matching letters like puzzle pieces, delivering their cargo one by one. And so, from letters and patterns, from invisible sequences, something tangible begins to take form. You watch it unfold in slow motion, the ribosome moving like a loom, weaving matter from meaning. A chain of amino acids grows, coiling and folding as it emerges, guided by chemistry and chance. Hydrogen bonds reach out like tiny hands, pulling the chain into shape. Loops form, spirals twist, sheets align. A 3-dimensional sculpture, crafted without sight or sound, only by the laws of attraction and repulsion. Within minutes, the string becomes a shape, the shape becomes a purpose, and the purpose becomes life. This is translation, the act of turning language into being. You feel awe at its precision. Every atom knows where to go. Every fold knows when to stop. The protein, now complete, drifts away, shining faintly in the soft cytoplasmic light. It might become an enzyme that speeds up a reaction, a receptor that listens for signals, or a muscle fiber that contracts in strength. Whatever its role, it is part of you now, a note added to your living symphony. You follow one protein's journey as it leaves the ribosome, newly born. It drifts through the fluid interior of the cell, like a leaf carried by a gentle current. Chaperone molecules surround it, protecting it from harm, guiding its folding with care. They cradle it softly, ensuring that every turn and twist lands in the right place. It feels almost human, this unseen kindness, this attention to form and function. The protein continues its journey, passing through corridors of light and shadow. Some enter the endoplasmic reticulum, where they are refined and shaped. Others travel to the Golgi apparatus, where they are packaged and sent to where they are needed most. Each destination is deliberate, each journey meaningful. The cell hums with coordination, millions of processes synchronized without a conductor, without pause. It is a city of purpose, built from molecular faith. As you drift through this inner landscape, you begin to feel the intimacy of it all. This translation, this conversion of code into substance, happens inside every one of your trillions of cells. Each one reading, writing, and building you moment by moment. Your thoughts, your heartbeat, your dreams, all rise from this quiet labor. You are not simply a collection of cells, you are a language turned to life. You imagine now that the mRNA script is a song, and the ribosome a musician. Each codon is a note, each amino acid a sound, each protein a melody. Together, they compose your living body, note by note, harmony by harmony. The enzymes in your stomach, the collagen in your skin, the hemoglobin that carries oxygen through your blood, all are the results of this symphony playing continuously, tirelessly within you. You are the music that DNA writes and the universe performs. There is something sacred in the idea that matter can understand meaning. A sequence of letters, chemical, neutral, indifferent, somehow becomes warmth, emotion, and thought. Your laughter, your curiosity, your sense of wonder, they all began as molecules reading instructions. And yet, those molecules, born from the stars, somehow found a way to read the universe and name it. You are a story that reads itself. As you float in this thought, you see how every step in this process mirrors creation on a cosmic scale. The way information becomes form, form becomes motion, and motion becomes consciousness. It echoes from cell to galaxy. The ribosome is like a star forge, shaping the elements of identity. The proteins it builds become planets of function, each orbiting the gravity of life. The smallest unit of you reflects the structure of the entire universe. Code turning into cosmos. You realize now that even the simplest protein, a chain of a few hundred amino acids, is a masterpiece of natural poetry. No machine built by humans can rival its elegance. And yet, this wonder happens silently, in the soft dark of your body, every second, unobserved. It asks for no recognition, no applause. It simply follows its design, translating silence into song. You picture now the countless proteins being made this very moment, thousands every second, each fulfilling a role. One repairing a cell wall, another delivering a message, another shaping the curl of your hair or the pulse of your heart. They move like tiny stars, drifting in and out of your awareness, illuminating what it means to be alive. Every breath you take depends on their rhythm. Every dream you dream relies on their precision. The music of translation is the heartbeat of existence itself. You close your eyes within this vision, feeling the warmth of understanding. Your body is not a static sculpture. It is a performance, always building, always transforming. The DNA writes, the RNA carries, the ribosome creates. A holy trinity of motion that never rests. And through this cycle, the intangible becomes tangible. Ideas become atoms. Instructions become identity. The more you see, the more you understand that creation is not separate from you. It is you. You are the continuation of a process billions of years in the making. The poetry of chemistry finding its way into awareness. Every heartbeat is a translation. Every breath a manifestation of code becoming life. There is no gap between information and existence. They are two sides of the same divine rhythm. The protein you followed has now found its place, embedded in a membrane, opening and closing a tiny gate that lets ions flow, keeping your body alive. Its work is small, yet essential. It doesn't know what it serves, only that it must. And in that unknowing service, there is beauty. The beauty of purpose without pride, of life that gives itself freely to the whole. As the scene fades, you sense how creation is not a single event, but an ongoing breath. DNA whispers, RNA carries, ribosomes translate, and you exist, continuously written and rewritten in the language of light. From this ceaseless translation, consciousness rises, your thoughts, your memories, your sense of I. The same code that builds your bones builds your awareness of them. Matter learns to know itself. You rest in this awareness, lulled by the thought that you are both text and reader, creation and creator. And as the music of molecules plays on, one question remains suspended. If code becomes life, and life becomes consciousness, what then does consciousness wish to create next? You float toward that question, gentle as breath carried by the pulse of translation as the night within you hums. Still writing, still singing, still alive. You are not just made of the present. You are the continuation of everything that has ever lived. Each breath, each cell, each heartbeat carries a memory so old, it predates language, predates even the notion of remembering. Your DNA, wound within its spiral, is a library of time, each twist of it holding a story written in the ink of survival. You are, in the quietest sense, the earth remembering itself. As you drift deeper into this thought, you begin to feel it. a pulse that isn't quite your own. It comes from far away, from deep below the surface of time. Your cells hum softly, as if awakening to an ancient song. They remember salt water, the first cradle of life. You imagine yourself dissolving into that memory, floating once more in the ancient sea. It is warm and endless, the primordial ocean, where the first spark of life once trembled awake. In that water, chemistry met chance, and chance met time. Simple molecules danced and collided, drawn together by invisible affinities. From that dance, something self-sustaining was born, a cell that could copy itself, hold information, and endure. That cell, your ancestor, carried the first version of the story you now hold in every nucleus. From it, the thread of your existence began. You feel its persistence echo through you. It was small, fragile, almost nothing, and yet it endured storms of heat and ice, darkness and radiation. It divided, multiplied, adapted, changed. In every generation of that single lineage, mistakes became miracles. Proteins folded differently. Membranes grew stronger. The ocean was both teacher and home, whispering lessons in the language of survival. Time passes differently here. You sense eons moving like slow waves. The first bacteria breathing out oxygen, the seas turning from green to blue, the sky awakening to light. Your DNA watched it all, writing new chapters with every mutation that worked, every adaptation that lasted. It remembers how life learned to use sunlight, trapping its power in chlorophyll and mitochondria. It remembers when one cell swallowed another and, instead of digesting it, began a partnership, a pact that still exists in every one of your cells. The mitochondria that power your life are ancient guests, tiny exiles from another kingdom of existence. You drift further through the long corridors of time. Now the memory changes. Life begins to crawl, to touch the air, to feel gravity. From the sea, fins become limbs, gills become lungs, and the DNA adjusts, rewriting its symphony. You sense the thrill of experimentation, of trial and triumph. The same four letters, A, T, C, and G, composing new symphonies with the same old notes. They create scales of bone and muscle, patterns of blood and breath. You realize all that you are has been rehearsed for billions of years. In this lineage, everything is borrowed, nothing is lost. Your spine remembers the fish that first curved it. Your lungs recall the tides that shape their rhythm. Even your tears, when they fall, carry salt from those ancient seas. You are not separate from the ocean. You are its echo, standing on land. The memory deepens. You feel the planet itself turning beneath you, slow and patient. Mountains rise and erode. Rivers carve their paths. Stars explode and scatter elements that will one day form living matter. The iron in your blood was born in a dying star, the calcium in your bones from ancient dust that drifted across galaxies. The earth remembers the cosmos, and you remember the earth. It is all one memory, written in different forms: rock, cell, flame, breath. You drift through the forests of prehistory now, where early creatures crawl among ferns taller than houses. You see eyes opening to light for the first time, wings stretching from skin, hearts beating in patterns new to the planet. Each generation carries the code forward, adding small changes, refining its rhythm. And through it all, your DNA watches, recording, keeping the wisdom of endurance. There is a moment when you feel it, a strange kinship with every creature that has ever lived. You are not separate from them. Your genes speak their language. Your body continues their story. The proteins in your cells are the same ones that kept the first organisms alive. Life did not create you as something new. It became you as its next expression. Every human is a verse in the same poem the earth began long ago. You open your awareness wider, feeling the lineage flow through you like water. All the ancestors who never knew your name still built you from their courage. Their successes are your heartbeat. Their survival is your breath. You are, in a way, the universe's long experiment in remembering itself. You are consciousness born from chemistry, carrying oceans within your veins. You pause in this realization, breathing softly. The air you inhale was once exhaled by ancient trees. The carbon in your body once rested in stone. Every molecule you are has traveled, from deep space to sea to soil to you. Nothing is ever lost, only transformed, only remembered in another form. You imagine, for a moment, that your DNA could speak aloud. Its voice would not be words but music, a low, resonant hum shaped by the vibrations of time. It would tell you that life has never stopped dreaming of itself, that every adaptation, every mutation, every shift was not random but exploratory, an act of curiosity written into the fabric of matter. You are that curiosity, standing upright, asking questions to the stars. As you rest in this understanding, you see that evolution is not just a process, but a memory, a sacred inheritance carried in every cell. It is the earth keeping a diary in living form, never missing a day. Your heart beats because the first cell divided. Your thoughts flow because the ocean once moved. Even now, your cells are writing new memories, small changes that will ripple forward long after you. And in that realization, you feel peace. You are not a fleeting moment, but an ongoing continuation. The same energy that once formed planets now fuels your life. The same atoms that once glowed in stars now look through your eyes. You are both ancient and new, the oldest song still being sung. You listen closely, and you can almost hear it. The soft pulse of the earth beneath your heartbeat, the rhythm of tides flowing in your veins, the faint whisper of evolution still dreaming through you. And as the sound fades into stillness, a question lingers, as gentle as starlight touching the sea. If life remembers so much of where it has been, what then will it dream of becoming next? You carry a library within you, not bound in leather or ink, but written in spirals of light and sugar. Every cell in your body holds a complete copy of this library, an identical collection of stories that describe every part of you. Yet, though the library is the same in every cell, each cell reads it differently. A neuron reads one set of pages, a muscle cell another. Some chapters are opened daily, others lie sealed for an entire lifetime, their words unseen, but quietly present. Imagine walking through this library now. It is vast beyond measure, stretching into endless halls lined with shining scrolls. Each scroll is a chromosome, wound tightly yet perfectly ordered. Together, they form your genome, the great compendium of you. The air in the library hums softly, filled with the energy of possibility. Every word, every sentence, every paragraph of DNA waits to be read, translated, and lived. You wander between the shelves, feeling the calm weight of ancient wisdom in the air. This is not a static place. It is alive, responsive, self-aware in its own mysterious way. You see small figures moving between the aisles, molecular librarians, caretakers of information. They are proteins, enzymes, and transcription factors, their forms shifting like light as they glide across the spirals. They carry keys that fit only certain locks, and when they turn them, the pages of the code unfurl, ready to be read. Each page in this library is a gene, a unit of instruction, a verse in the song of being. Some tell cells how to build structure, how to fold proteins, how to breathe. Others hold quiet potential, waiting for a signal that may never come. And then there are the forgotten pages, silent stretches of DNA that seem to say nothing, yet hum with mystery. For years, they were called junk, but now we know better. Even silence in this library holds meaning. You pause before one open scroll, glowing softly in the half-light. It tells the story of hemoglobin, the protein that carries oxygen through your blood. As the gene is read, molecular scribes assemble RNA transcripts, passing them to ribosomes like pages sent to a printing press. You can almost hear the faint rhythm of production, the code becoming flesh, the word becoming breath. This is your body reading itself, translating language into life, moment by moment. You move deeper into the library and notice that not all shelves are equally lit. Some are illuminated with gentle golden light, active, alive, open. Others are wrapped in darkness, sealed with molecular bindings called histones. These bindings act like ribbons around the scrolls, keeping certain genes tightly closed. It is not neglect, but order. The cell decides what it needs and leaves the rest resting in silence. This is epigenetics, the art of selective reading. Epigenetics is the librarian's intuition, the unseen hand that decides which books to open and which to shelve away. It works not by changing the words themselves, but by deciding how loudly they are read. Methyl groups, small chemical tags, attached to the DNA, marking certain regions quiet. Histones loosen or tighten their grip, adjusting access like the turning of a dimmer switch. And so, without altering the text, your body changes the story it tells. You realize this is how the same library can produce so many forms: bone, blood, nerve, skin, all reading the same script, but interpreting it differently. Each cell type becomes a poem, drawn from the same words, but rearranged into new meaning. Your body is not a monologue, but an anthology. Each cell adds its own voice to the greater chorus, harmonizing in a rhythm older than the stars. As you walk, you notice that the librarians never rest. They open, close, and rearrange constantly, responding to the weather of your life. Stress, sunlight, sleep, emotion, memory, all leave subtle fingerprints upon the shelves. When you laugh, certain genes awaken. When you rest, others sleep. Your experiences write their own annotations in the margins of your code. You are not just shaped by your DNA, you are in conversation with it. You pause and feel the hum of this exchange. Your cells are listening to the food you eat, the air you breathe, the thoughts you think. Signals move inward like whispers, and the librarians respond, adjusting which pages to read. The language of your inner world is chemical, but its message is emotional too. Even tenderness, even calm, leaves a signature in the library's rhythm. In one corner of the vast hall, you find a shelf marked by dust and age. It holds the memories of your ancestors, genetic echoes passed through time. Some pages bear the marks of famine, others the stains of cold or fear. These are not stories you consciously know, but your cells remember them. Your body carries faint traces of what your lineage survived, the struggles that shaped its resilience. You carry within you both the trauma and the triumph of those who came before. Yet the library is not bound by history alone. It listens forward, adapting to the life you live now. Every act of nourishment, every deep breath, every night of restful sleep writes kindness into its margins. Genes that protect, repair, and restore are gently coaxed awake by care.
You realize that you can speak back to this library through how you live.
Through food, through breath, through stillness and thought.
It is an intimate dialogue between the ancient and the immediate. You look up and realize how vast this place truly is. 3 billion letters long, a text so immense it could fill hundreds of volumes, yet so precise that a single misplaced word can change the story entirely. And somehow, within that complexity, every cell reads without confusion. The order never collapses. The librarians never lose their way. The code hums, alive, self-correcting, forgiving, infinite. You find a quiet corner and sit, watching the molecular librarians at work. It feels sacred, not in the way of temples, but in the way of breath. This is the unseen devotion that keeps you alive. You realize that reading for your body is not an act of the eyes, but of becoming. To read is to transform. To understand is to build. Every second, you are rewritten by the reading of your own code. The thought brings a deep calm. You are both the library and the reader, the text and the interpreter. Your story is never finished because it is being read anew every moment. Some pages are closed for now, waiting for the right time, perhaps in healing, perhaps in growth. Others are read constantly, keeping you steady and awake, and still, others are waiting for discovery, their meaning not yet known. You feel a tenderness for the mystery of it, for all the words that keep you alive without ever being seen. The more you look, the more you understand that your DNA is not a command, but a conversation. One between life and time, between inheritance and choice. You stand and begin to walk again, feeling the rhythm of the librarians turning pages as softly as heartbeats. Each sound is a pulse of life. Each page turned a whisper of continuity. And as you reach the end of the corridor, the air glows faintly, as though the library is breathing with you. You take one last look at the endless shelves, the golden coils, the living words that shape your existence, and you realize that somewhere in the next corridor of this vast archive, a new book is being written, not by the past, but by the future. You feel the question forming gently in your mind, like a candle flickering in the dark. If your DNA is a library that remembers everything you are, what stories then are waiting to be written next? The library inside you never sleeps, yet not every book is open. Some volumes whisper softly, their words unfolding into living action. Others remain closed, silent but listening, waiting for a signal that says now. Your DNA holds the entire script of you, but your life decides which parts are spoken aloud. This decision, this delicate orchestration, is not random. It is guided by the silent editors, the molecules that decide which words to read and which to rest. They are the unseen writers of your second story, the one that lives between the lines. You can almost see them now, drifting like mist through the corridors of your inner library. They carry tiny quills, methyl groups, acetyl marks, leaving small reversible signatures upon the DNA. They do not rewrite the words, but they choose the tone. They do not change the letters, but they decide who gets to speak. Epigenetics, this quiet art of molecular editing, is how your body listens to the world. It translates your experiences, what you eat, how you sleep, what you feel, into whispers that reach the very heart of your cells. Every joy and every ache leaves a faint mark upon the story, not carving it permanently, but shaping its rhythm and tone. You rest for a moment, imagining this process as music. Your genes are instruments in a grand orchestra, violins, flutes and drums, and the epigenetic marks are the conductors, raising their hands to cue one section while quieting another. Together, they create the symphony that is you. The melody changes as you change, sometimes soft, sometimes wild, always alive. You remember the nights you slept deeply, when your breath slowed and your thoughts untangled themselves into dreams. Those nights, the silent editors work gently, repairing, balancing, reminding your cells how to rest. Then you recall the days of stress, when thoughts spun too quickly, and the editors had to tighten the music, dimming the light of certain genes. Even those moments, you realize, were part of the score. Epigenetics is the language of adaptation. When the world shifts, your body listens, not just with nerves or senses, but with chemistry itself. Cold weather may awaken old survival genes. A warm smile may calm the ones that govern tension. Every cell becomes an interpreter, adjusting its reading to the story you live. You think of the generations before you, how their storms and seasons may still echo within you. The scientists say that sometimes stress and nourishment, joy and famine, leave small traces in the code's margins, passed quietly from parent to child. It is as though the editors remember lessons learned long ago and keep them in reserve in case you ever need them. You are not just your own story, you're a continuation of many. But unlike the past, your present holds the pen. The editors never stop listening. They respond to what you give them. Your air, your food, your peace, your chaos. A deep breath of clean air may open a gene for healing. A walk in sunlight may turn on one for mood. Stillness, laughter, love, each a note that the editors recognize. Each an instruction written in a language older than memory. You close your eyes and picture a single cell, its nucleus glowing like a lantern in the dark. Inside, the DNA curls softly, shimmering in its spirals. Tiny proteins drift by, tagging certain sites, erasing others, carefully adjusting which pages are to be read. It is not mechanical, it is graceful, as though every molecule moves to the rhythm of your life itself. You begin to see that your story is not fixed. Even if the words remain the same, the way they are read can change. A gene for calm can be silenced by fear and reawakened by safety. A gene for resilience can sleep through comfort and rise in challenge. The silent editors are not your fate. They are your response. They turn biology into poetry, a dialogue between who you were and who you are becoming. The idea brings a sense of peace. You realize that you are not defined by your past, not imprisoned by your inheritance. You are a living manuscript, rewritten in every breath. Even mistakes can be softened. Even pain can be rephrased. Because as long as you live, the editors continue to write. You feel the rhythm of it within you. Tiny adjustments happening in silence. A molecular ballet beneath your skin. You imagine them working while you sleep, fine-tuning your script, balancing your chemistry, gently closing chapters that no longer serve you, and opening new ones that do. In the hush of night, the concept becomes a lullaby. The editors are not harsh censors, but caretakers. They preserve your essence while letting you evolve. Every thought you calm, every kindness you show yourself becomes a signal, a note in the music of your molecular life. You smile in the dark. Somewhere inside you, a gene that needed rest has just fallen quiet. Another, waiting for light, has just begun to speak. The orchestra adjusts, and the melody of your being continues, softer, clearer than before. You drift towards sleep, comforted by the thought that your story is still being written, not in pen, but in whispers of chemistry, in choices, in moments, in breath. The editors will keep working as you dream, turning experience into expression, chaos into calm. And by the time morning comes, you will have been rewritten again. Not changed, but refined. A living story, edited in silence, forever unfolding toward the next beautiful page. You rest in the hush of your own heartbeat, and somewhere deep within, a quiet choreography begins. It is ancient, patient, and perfect. The dance of division, where life learns to multiply without losing itself. Every second inside your body, millions of cells are preparing for this moment. They gather their energy, check their instructions, stretch their membranes like dancers warming before the stage. They are not chaotic, they move with intention. An art form repeated since the dawn of life. In the soft light of imagination, you shrink small enough to see it. A single cell, glowing faintly, suspended in its private universe. It quivers with anticipation, the way a heart beats before the first note of a song. Inside it lies the double helix, that spiral staircase of meaning, ready to unwind and share its wisdom once again. The dance begins with a whisper, the signal that it's time. The cell grows larger, its nucleus swelling gently with purpose. Within, the DNA unzips with elegance, each strand mirrored in a perfect reflection, like two dancers facing one another, learning each other's steps anew. You watch in awe as the replication unfolds. Tiny enzymes glide along the DNA strands like graceful hands, reading, copying, stitching together identical twins of genetic memory. No rush, no chaos, just rhythm, the pulse of precision, guided by invisible music. Around the edges of this world, microtubules form, delicate threads of light, spinning out like silk, drawing toward the center where the chromosomes line up. It looks almost ceremonial, a gathering before a parting, a stillness before a transformation. Then, as though cued by the quiet beat of existence, the chromosomes separate, pull toward opposite sides, each set carrying a full library of your story. The cell stretches, its middle narrowing like a dancer's waist in motion until, with a sigh you can almost hear, it divides. Now there are two cells where once there was one, two hearts of matter, each holding the same ancient song. You imagine them bowing to each other, acknowledging the perfection of their shared origin, before drifting apart into the flow of your body, ready to serve, to grow, to live. You feel a deep tenderness for them, for their quiet courage, their endless repetition. They do this not once, not twice, but countless times across your life. Every strand of hair, every breath of skin, every beat of muscle depends on this timeless waltz of division. And yet, there is no greed in it. Each cell gives itself away to continue the whole. Each copy is an act of devotion. When they divide, they are not breaking. They are doubling the light, ensuring that life does not flicker out. You think of mitosis now, the word itself like a slow breath, mitosis. A process so intricate it feels alive. Prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, 4 movements of a silent ballet. Each one a deliberate gesture, each one a note in the melody of continuity. In prophase, the DNA condenses into shimmering threads. The nucleus dissolves, as if lowering the curtain for a grand reveal. In metaphase, the chromosomes align, a moment of stillness, balance, and poise. In anaphase, they are drawn apart, mirror images drifting to their destinations. And in telophase, the cell breathes a sigh of completion, wrapping its daughters in new walls, 2 beginnings born from one. You realize that division in truth is a kind of love. The cell does not fight to remain whole. It trusts the pattern, the outcome, the need for renewal. It lets go of itself so that the organism, the greater self, may continue. From this letting go, growth is born. From this surrender, life expands. You begin to wonder if even your cells must learn to divide gracefully. Perhaps this too is written in the code of being. To release, to change, to give without losing meaning. Perhaps creation always requires a small parting, a soft split between what was and what will be. Every cell that divides carries forward not just its code, but its faith in the design. It remembers how to let go without fear, how to replicate without corruption, how to remain true while becoming two. Sometimes things go wrong. A misplaced copy, a skipped checkpoint, a mutation unhealed. Yet even in that imperfection, life continues to learn, to adapt, to refine its rhythm. The dance never stops, it only changes its tempo. You rest your mind against this thought. Division is not destruction, it is continuity. The same way day divides from night, but remains the same world. The same way breath divides between inhale and exhale. Each necessary, each beautiful. In this moment, you feel the pulse of creation inside you, the quiet replication of skin, blood, thought, each cell. A dancer under a microscopic moon, spinning, separating, beginning again. You are made of this persistence, of this devotion to renewal that has lasted for billions of years. You think of how the very first cell once divided in the ancient sea, perhaps under starlight, perhaps in shadow. How that single act became a universe of beings, each carrying the same instinct to multiply love through division. You are, in some deep way, a continuation of that moment, a ripple of that first step in the cosmic dance. And as you drift towards sleep, you imagine yourself shrinking once more, floating beside two new cells as they separate, their boundaries forming like halos. They glow softly, pulsing in rhythm with your breath. You whisper to them in your thoughts, a thank you for their quiet labour, for their constant, humble beauty. They do not answer, but in the stillness you sense their response, a pulse of life that says, we are continuing for you. The music of mitosis fades into silence, and you feel its echo hum in your veins. The night holds you, like the cell holds its promise. Secure, cyclical, infinite. And somewhere in that silence, a new question stirs, not about division, but about the next miracle. What happens when the dance of life goes beyond one body, beyond one generation, carrying its light into the unknown future? You lie still, feeling the hum of life beneath your ribs, and somewhere inside, a thread glows. Thin as light, strong as time. It stretches backward beyond your first breath, beyond even the thought of your beginning, reaching into an ancient, unbroken lineage of being. Your DNA is not only yours, it is a story told across generations, a record written in flesh, copied faithfully from mother to child, from the oceans to the forests, from the first spark of life to the person you are now. Imagine tracing that thread through time. It winds through centuries like a river made of memory. It carries the laughter of ancestors, their triumphs and fears, their hungers and hopes. Each life added a small note to the melody, a whisper that says, I survived, and now you live. At the heart of this continuity is the mitochondrial DNA, a small circle of genetic light found in every cell's powerhouses, inherited solely from your mother. Unlike the grand library of nuclear DNA, mitochondrial DNA is more like a keepsake. A single song passed through the maternal line, unchanged, unbroken, carried in silence. Your mother gave it to you, and she received it from hers, and so on. An endless passing of the same molecule, stretching back through thousands of mothers, millions of years, to the first woman who ever lived. Scientists call her mitochondrial Eve, not the first woman, but the one whose light never went out, whose daughter's daughters carried her energy until it burned quietly in you. You can almost see it now, a glowing thread weaving through the dark, linking generations like stars in a constellation. Each birth, another point of light, each heartbeat a pulse that keeps the rhythm of evolution alive. You are both a new flame and an ancient one, burning with borrowed fire. As you breathe, you begin to feel it. How your cells hum with that same ancient energy. How each mitochondrion inside you still performs the same act it did in your ancestors, turning oxygen into life, breath into motion. You are literally powered by the same process that once sustained single-celled swimmers in primordial seas. If you listen closely enough, you can almost hear the sea in your blood, the salt, the rhythm, the memory of tides. Your body remembers where it came from. Every drop of your being was built from elements forged in stars long before the earth cooled. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the carbon in your skin, all once drifted as stardust in the cosmic dark. Your lineage is not only human, it is celestial. Billions of years ago, a star burned bright, lived its life, and died, exploding into light that scattered through the galaxy. Those fragments of brilliance fell into a forming world, became oceans, became soil, became cells. In time, those cells learned to copy themselves, to divide and remember, to adapt and change. That light, that ancient explosion, still glows inside you as the chemistry of being. You are, in every sense, the child of light. You drift through the timeline of existence now, seeing your lineage not as faces or names, but as flickers of persistence. A creature crawls from the sea, its DNA already carrying the code for survival. Another evolves lungs, another grows eyes, and through each transformation, the thread remains unbroken. Eventually, the first humans stand beneath the sun. They breathe the same air you breathe now. Their hearts beat the same molecular rhythm. Their cells divide, their DNA hums, their mitochondria glow like lanterns within. They love, they fear, they protect, they create, and they pass the thread onward. You think of your own ancestors, the ones whose names you know, and the ones long forgotten. They lived through storms and hunger, through warmth and discovery, through nights under stars and days of struggle. Every choice they made, every adaptation became part of your survival. You are the living summary of their courage. Perhaps there were times when the line almost broke. A mother too weak, a child too ill, a tribe too small to continue. And yet, through all of it, someone always survived. Someone always carried the thread forward. And because of them, you are here tonight, breathing, listening, dreaming. There's something sacred in that realization, that life has never stopped moving forward, no matter how uncertain, no matter how fragile. Your DNA is not simply a code. It is endurance made visible. It remembers the fire of volcanoes, the migrations of mammals, the songs of ancient birds, the touch of every hand that ever built a future. The thread of life, you notice, is not a straight line, but a web, millions of branches intertwining, diverging, reconnecting in patterns of kinship. Every creature alive today, from the smallest moss to the brightest bird, shares some portion of your ancestry. You are related, in essence, to everything that breathes. This is the lineage of light, a radiant chain that does not end, but transforms. When one generation fades, its energy becomes food, air, memory. The molecules that once belonged to others now circulate in you. You carry within you fragments of those who lived before, not only through DNA, but through matter itself. Perhaps the air you inhale tonight contains an atom once exhaled by an ancient philosopher, a poet, or a prehistoric creature staring at the same stars. Perhaps the carbon in your hand was once part of a leaf that drank sunlight 1,000,000 years ago. In this way, you are not separate from the past. You are the continuation of its brilliance. Your mind wanders to the mothers of the future, to the generations yet to come, whose lives will be built upon yours. You will pass to them not only your DNA, but the imprints of your choices, how you lived, what you loved, what you learned. Just as the silent editors marked your code with your experiences, so too will your descendants carry echoes of your world. There is tenderness in this thought, a soft recognition that nothing truly ends. The chain of existence is circular, each ending a beginning, each life a bridge between what was and what will be. You see now that survival is not the only miracle. Continuity is. The quiet, tireless handoff of information, of energy, of memory is what binds all living things together. From light to cell, from cell to being, from being to love, and back again. You are the newest link in a chain forged by both chaos and care. You carry the ancient sunlight that once nourished forests, the ocean's patience, the starlight that seeded your atoms. You are not just alive, you are luminous with inheritance. As you drift deeper into rest, you picture yourself not as a single moment, but as a continuation of billions. Every heartbeat echoes through the corridors of time, sending light forward into the unknown. And just before you surrender to sleep, you feel the question forming quietly. If every cell remembers where it came from, and if every generation passes on its flame, then what new forms of light might you too leave glowing in the future that waits to be born? You lie still in the quiet, and somewhere beneath your skin, the soft orchestra awakens. It does not play with instruments or strings, but with molecules, signals, and waves of invisible rhythm. You are listening, though not with your ears. genome is not silent, it sings. Every cell hums its part in the grand composition of your being. Each gene a note, each interaction a harmony, together forming the living music that is you. It begins gently, like a dawn overture. Certain genes stir, uncoiling themselves from their quiet loops, inviting proteins to read their message. Others rest, content to wait their turn, their silence no less important than sound. In this balance between expression and rest, the melody of your health unfolds. You imagine the scene, a vast concert hall inside your body, where millions of instruments perform without pause. Each cell holds its own conductor, responding to cues from light, food, emotion, and thought. They do not need rehearsal. They have known their parts for eons. The music they play is life itself, a continuous improvisational masterpiece. Listen closer. There is rhythm in your heartbeat, a percussion in the pulse of your veins, a deep cello tone in the slow exhale of your lungs. Even the turning of DNA around its histone spools creates a soft rustle, a whisper of pages turning in the library of your genome. Every gene has its time to sing. Some awaken only once in a lifetime, called forth by a wound, a growth, a moment of change. Others are constant companions, their steady melodies maintaining warmth, breath, repair, and above them all, invisible conductors, the molecules of epigenetics, hormones, and feedback loops adjust the tempo, raise and lower the volume, keeping the whole in gentle equilibrium. It is not chaos, it is music, mathematical, emotional, biological. The difference between health and illness, between peace and imbalance, is the difference between harmony and dissonance. When the notes align, you feel it as calm, as clarity, as ease in your bones. When they fall out of tune, the body murmurs its quiet pleas for restoration. Tonight, as you rest, your internal musicians begin the nocturne of repair. They lower the tempo, dim. The lights shift to minor keys of restoration. Proteins fold like hands in prayer. Enzymes glide through the nucleus, checking and tuning the notes of your DNA for morning. You imagine them as caretakers of sound, each one ensuring that your genetic sheet music stays legible, that the melody never falters. Some remove the static, snipping out damaged sequences. Some rewrite lost measures, filling gaps with careful precision. And others simply wait, listening for your breath, synchronizing their rhythm with your heartbeat. There is something miraculous about this quiet collaboration. No conductor stands above them, no audience watches from afar. Yet everything knows its place. Your DNA does not need permission to sing. It already knows the score, written billions of years ago in the language of chemistry and chance. You are not merely a listener to this symphony. You are the symphony. Your moods shift the music. Your environment tunes its instruments. When you are at peace, the notes align more perfectly. The harmonies deepen. When you are in turmoil, the rhythm stutters, and yet always there is recovery. The musicians pausing, retuning, finding their way back to the song. This is why rest matters. When you sleep, the symphony slows to a healing pace. Genes for repair rise like soft violins, while the fiery brass of stress and wakefulness fade away. Your cells whisper to one another, confirming that the body is safe enough to restore itself. And so, while you dream, they perform the great sonata of regeneration. You can almost hear it, the way oxygen flows like a melody through your blood, how the hormones of calm ripple like wind over water, how even silence carries a tone of its own. It is the hum of harmony, a resonance between your biology and your being. Scientists once thought of genes as rigid blueprints, static, unfeeling, mechanical, but now we know better. They are dynamic, responsive, alive with possibility. A gene is not a dictator. It is a musician awaiting its cue. Your thoughts, your diet, your emotions, each can lift or lower its voice. You, the listener and the composer, influence the music you hear within. Perhaps that is why certain moments of joy feel like light, why gratitude can ease the tension in your chest. Your emotions are not abstract. They ripple through the body like waves of sound, reminding every cell that the world is still safe enough to sing. You begin to feel it now, a synchronization between thought and matter. The molecules adjust their tempo, the music softens, your body unwinds. The genetic orchestra plays a lullaby of repair, and you are both audience and instrument. You drift deeper into that awareness, imagining each cell as a lantern glowing with rhythm. If you could listen closely enough, you might hear the music of the mitochondria, the slow hum of enzymes, the pulse of proteins assembling like tiny percussionists, all of it blending into a single, endless refrain. You are alive. You are enough. The song does not end with you. It extends into the world, through the breath you exhale, through the warmth you release into the air. Every living thing contributes its tone, from trees exhaling oxygen to oceans vast and unseen composer binds every organism's melody into one universal rhythm of existence. The music drifts with you into sleep, carrying that question like a final note, unresolved, eternal, waiting to be answered in the next measure of creation. The music falters. Just for a moment, the melody within you wavers. A note bends out of tune. A rhythm hesitates. A silence settles where a sound should be. Somewhere deep inside, a strand of DNA slips. A letter misread, a fold gone wrong. The code that writes the story of you catches its breath, as though unsure of the next line. Illness begins quietly, not with pain or noise, but with a pause, a single error in a script so vast that even perfection allows for mistakes. A protein misfolds, its elegant spiral collapsing into confusion. A signal fails to reach its destination. A cell divides when it should have rested. Small things, invisible things, but together they can ripple like thunder. You imagine it, a storm rising in the genetic sea, the calm waters of balance turning. Restless, the winds of chemical reactions swirling faster. But even in the heart of this storm, your body does not surrender. It listens, assesses, and begins to repair. Tiny guardians awaken. Enzymes patrol the DNA, feeling along the twisted ladder for a misplaced letter. When they find it, they pause, a moment of recognition, and then, with delicate precision, they snip, replace, and restore. Others move through the cytoplasm, searching for the misfolded, the broken, the incomplete. They unfold the damaged proteins, or recycle their pieces into something new. Nothing is wasted. Even error becomes resource. It is astonishing, this quiet resilience. Every second of your life, trillions of such corrections take place. You are, at every moment, both breaking and healing. Illness, then, is not a failure. It is a reminder of the fragile miracle that sustains you. The code of life is not meant to be flawless. It is meant to endure, to adapt, to recover. You picture your immune cells, those gentle warriors of light, gliding through your veins like fireflies. They read the signals of distress, recognize the storm's shape, and move toward it with quiet determination. They do not rage or panic. They bring calm. They bring balance. Their weapons are not destruction, but understanding. Enzymes that neutralize. Antibodies that embrace and disarm. Sometimes healing is immediate, a single breath, a restored heartbeat, a steady rhythm. Other times it is long and patient, like the ocean reshaping its shore after a storm. The body knows both ways. You feel it now. The humility of being human, the gratitude that follows awareness. You are not invincible, and yet, within your fragility, you possess astonishing strength. The storm may come, but you are built to weather it. Every fever, every scar, every recovery is proof that your body remembers how to rise. You recall times you've fallen ill, the ache, the stillness, the slowing down of everything. At the time, it felt like defeat, but now you see it differently. Your body asking for pause, for silence, for the chance to mend. There is wisdom in that slowing. When you rest, your inner healers work without distraction. Cells communicate in whispers, sending signals like gentle lanterns across a dark landscape. Blood carries nutrients as offerings. Neurons quiet their chatter, allowing energy to flow toward restoration. Even light plays a role. Photons absorbed during the day help power the mitochondria, your inner suns, turning energy into vitality. It is as though sunlight itself continues its work inside you, even when night has fallen. The storm passes slowly, the code steadies, the music resumes, perhaps a little changed, a new variation written into your being. This is what healing means, not returning to what was, but evolving into what can endure. You are a story rewritten many times. Every illness, every wound adds a new verse to your genetic symphony. Sometimes it brings silence, sometimes strength, but always transformation. There are deeper lessons in this too. The body's resilience mirrors the resilience of life itself. Species adapt, ecosystems recover, forests regrow after fire. The pattern repeats on every scale, from cells to planets, a cosmic rhythm of breakage and rebirth. You are not separate from that rhythm. When you heal, you echo the healing of the earth. Your DNA and the DNA of all life share the same endurance, the same refusal to give up. Think of your body as a garden. When one flower withers, nutrients return to the soil to feed the next bloom. So too do your cells recycle loss into life. So too do your tissues learn and adapt. Even memory plays its part. Your immune system remembers every intruder it has met. It writes down the experience in molecular ink so that next time your defenses rise is faster, calmer, wiser. Illness becomes education. Pain becomes knowledge. And through it all, you remain not untouched, but transformed. You breathe deeply now, aware of the quiet balance restored within you. The enzymes slow their work, the signals calm, the storm fades into stillness. If you could listen closely enough, you would hear gratitude in their movements, a thank you whispered from cell to cell for the energy, the rest, the patience you gave. You understand now that your body is not fragile glass. It is a woven net of resilience, catching every fracture and turning it into form again. You are not broken when you fall ill. You are learning the deeper rhythm of life. The genetic symphony never truly stops. It only shifts its melody. Tonight, it plays the theme of recovery, the gentle music of rebuilding. And as you drift towards sleep, you feel the last vibrations of the storm dissolve. Your body glows softly, its orchestra returning to harmony. The DNA that faltered now hums in tune again. The code renewed, the balance restored. Perhaps the cracks were not mistakes after all, but the places where light entered you. Perhaps. The breaking was only the beginning of healing. You rest in that thought, in the knowledge that even when the code breaks, the song continues, stronger, wiser, and infinitely alive. The story of life has always been written by time, patient, deliberate, unhurried. But now, for the first time in history, humanity has learned to hold the pen. In laboratories that hum softly beneath the glow of sterile lights, scientists trace the spirals of DNA, studying the sentences written across billions of years. They peer into the ancient script, searching not only to read, but to edit, to change the course of life itself. You imagine them, quiet figures in white coats, their eyes reflecting the shimmer of microscopes, their gloved hands trembling slightly, not with fear, but with reverence. For they are not merely observers anymore. They are architects of tomorrow. The dream began with discovery, with the realization that the double helix is not sacred stone, but soft clay capable of being shaped. It began with the whispers of CRISPR, a strange name for a tool so simple, so profound. CRISPR, like a pair of molecular scissors, can find a single phrase within the library of life and carefully snip or replace it, editing a word that once seemed unchangeable. You picture it, a tiny molecular hand moving through a strand of DNA, sliding past the letters A, T, C, and G, stopping when it finds the one that doesn't belong. A precise cut, a quiet correction, and suddenly what was broken might be whole again. It feels almost like magic, but it is science, a fusion of understanding, patience, and light. Through this gentle rewriting, scientists dream of curing inherited diseases, mending bloodlines burdened by error, and freeing future generations from pain written before their birth. Yet, as you drift deeper into thought, you feel the duality, the awe and the unease, because to hold the pen of creation is both a gift and a weight. Every correction carries consequence. Every act of rewriting asks a question. Where does healing end and alteration begin? You imagine DNA not as a code to be conquered, but as a living poem, one that breathes, evolves, and carries stories from every ancestor that ever existed. To edit such poetry requires humility, a listening heart as much as a clever mind, and yet there is hope in this new art. For centuries, humanity has watched illness steal, has seen aging slow the music of the body. Now, science whispers of a future where these losses might be rewritten, not erased, but softened, their pain transformed into progress. Stem cells learn to become whatever is needed: bone, skin, heart, or nerve. Damaged tissues regrow, limbs repair, eyes once blind open to light again. Somewhere in this emerging dawn, the boundary between healing and creating begins to blur. You see this future as a horizon of light. Humanity standing before its own reflection, both sculptor and sculpture, both writer and word. The questions that rise from this are ancient. How far should we go? Who decides which parts of the code to change? Is perfection a goal or a misunderstanding of beauty? The cells in your body answer softly. Perfection is not the absence of error, it is the presence of harmony. The story of life has always included improvisation, mutations that gave rise to wings, to thought, to song. Without them, there would be no you. Perhaps the challenge of the future is not to perfect the code, but to understand its music more deeply. You imagine a future hospital, quiet, luminous. A patient lies resting while nanoscopic editors glide through her blood, correcting a faulty gene, restoring her cells to their natural rhythm. No invasive surgery, no pain, just chemistry, guided by knowledge, by care. Her DNA hums again in tune, and she awakens healed, unaware of the invisible
dance within. The idea fills you with peace, to heal without harm, to mend the very letters of life itself. What greater kindness could science offer? Yet not all editing seeks healing. Some dream of enhancement to make humans stronger, faster, smarter, longer lived. You sense both promise and peril in that dream, for in trying to rise above nature, we must not forget we are nature. The same stardust, the same rhythms, the same fragile beauty that binds us to every living thing.
You reflect on this balance, the courage to explore, the wisdom to pause. The architects of tomorrow will need both. They will need the humility to remember that DNA is not a tool of ownership, but a conversation, one that began before us and will continue long after. And maybe, just maybe, these editors of the future will learn to write with compassion, to use the code not to divide or dominate, but to repair, to restore, to reconcile. You imagine them editing not just genes, but the invisible scripts of suffering and loss, rewriting the code of disease into the poetry of health, turning the story of pain into the story of renewal. The laboratories fade from your mind now, replaced by a vast cosmic vision. You see the entire web of life. Every cell, every organism, each carrying its thread of the same ancient code. Human hands, now careful and trembling, reach toward that web, not to cut, but to weave. In that weaving lies the true art of tomorrow. Not control, but connection. Not rewriting life from above, but harmonizing with it from within. You feel a calm reverence settle over you. This science is not cold or mechanical. It is intimate, spiritual, almost tender. It is humanity remembering that it too is made of atoms that learn to dream. The code listens, as it always has, patient, waiting, open to suggestion. Perhaps it understands that this was always part of the story, that one day its creation would learn to converse with it, to guide it gently toward healing and light. And so you rest, your thoughts drifting between wonder and responsibility. The future will come softly, not with thunder, but with care. A quiet conversation between wisdom and curiosity. Somewhere deep inside, your own DNA hums its approval. It has seen countless eras, countless evolutions. It knows that change, when met with reverence, is the essence of life itself. You close your eyes, feeling that hum resonate with your heartbeat, an ancient script meeting its modern reader. And as you drift towards sleep, you sense the next chapter forming, a question rising like dawn. What might humanity become when it learns not just to edit the code, but to love it? Night folds itself gently around you, like a velvet sky wrapping the edges of the world. The air feels slow, heavy with rest. Every sound fades until only your breathing remains. A steady rhythm, like waves touching shore. Inside you, in that vast invisible realm where life hums, something glows. It is not light that the eyes can see, but a soft radiance felt only in stillness. It is the quiet shimmer of your DNA, the living constellation beneath your skin. Each cell, each spiral, each molecule is a tiny lantern carrying the same flame. The flame that began long before you, when the first spark of chemistry met the first sigh of possibility. That spark became a code, and that code became you. You are the continuation of that first light, the breath of stars reborn into skin and thought. The atoms that form you once drifted in cosmic clouds, once burned in the hearts of suns. Now they rest in your veins, writing a story that only you could become. You are both author and story. Every heartbeat is a word, every breath a sentence. Your DNA writes, not with ink, but with existence itself. A poem written in structure, in rhythm, in the quiet persistence of being alive. The double helix within you twists slowly, gracefully. Its two threads wind like dancers, mirroring one another in perfect symmetry. Their steps are patient, their partnership ancient. It is a dance that began billions of years ago and has never once stopped. You listen. In your imagination, you can almost hear it. A faint, luminous music rising from within. It is the hum of hydrogen bonds, the gentle turn of chemical wheels, the harmony of molecular faithfulness. If you could translate that hum into words, you might find it says, continue. It says, grow, breathe, remember. It says, you belong. For all the science and structure, DNA is not only information, it is intention. It carries not just the recipe for your body, but the rhythm of life's persistence. A message passed through every ancestor. Live, learn, love, and endure. You feel it now, the lineage of light running through your body, from the first single-celled wanderer in the sea, to the creatures who crawled upon the sand, to those who stood upright and looked to the stars. Their survival, their courage, their quiet triumphs still echo inside you. Your DNA remembers oceans. It remembers sunlight breaking through water. It remembers the feel of gravity, the pull of air filling lungs for the first time. You are not separate from history. You are its continuation. The story of life does not end at your skin. It moves forward through every thought you think, every kindness you offer, every dream you dare to imagine. Tonight, as you rest, that story slows its pace, settling into the gentle rhythm of sleep. The cells continue their work, repairing, renewing, replicating. They read the ancient instructions once more, like monks reciting sacred verses. And with each repetition, they keep you alive. Your mind drifts deeper. Images form behind your closed eyes. Threads of light swirling like galaxies, spirals unfolding into endless loops. You are floating within yourself, traveling through the microscopic cosmos of your own being. You pass through a forest of molecules, their branches alive with motion. You see the double helix towering above you, its steps glimmering with sugar and phosphate, each base pair glowing in pairs of blue and gold. It is both infinite and intimate, the architecture of creation itself. Somewhere in that vast structure, a small sequence of letters spells your name, not the one the world knows, but the one that life whispered into you when you first became real. It is a name made of energy, spoken by time itself. You are not a mistake in this universe. You are a deliberate note in its ongoing composition. The same physics that spins galaxies spins the atoms in your blood. The same laws that shaped the stars shaped your heartbeat. The universe did not simply make you, it became you. You feel that truth settling softly in your chest. The boundary between science and soul dissolves. There is no need to choose between them. Understanding and wonder can coexist. One reveals the structure, the other gives it meaning. Science tells you what DNA is. Wonder tells you what it feels like. Together, they form the poetry of knowing. You think of all the hands that studied this code. Scientists, dreamers, healers, explorers, each uncovering a small piece of the pattern. They too are part of the same story, each discovery a new verse added to the poem. It is humanity's collective curiosity that keeps the song of life evolving. And yet, in the quiet of this moment, you realize the most profound knowledge does not come from breaking mysteries open, but from sitting within them, listening, feeling, understanding that some beauty is meant to be lived, not solved. The DNA inside you is one such mystery. It does not need your analysis tonight. It asks only for your recognition, for you to feel the miracle of being woven from ancient light and patient time. The night deepens further. Your breathing slows. Each inhale feels like gathering starlight. Each exhale like releasing centuries of history. You are drifting between worlds, between consciousness and sleep, between science and dream, between knowing and simply being. The cells continue their song. You are both audience and instrument. Their whispers become waves. Their rhythm becomes the tide of your thoughts. You sense that this, all of it, is not random, not meaningless. It is a story that began at the edge of creation and found its way into your heartbeat. The universe did not stop evolving when stars were born. It continued through oceans, through cells, through you. And now, as you surrender to sleep, you become part of its dreaming. Every dream you have is another way for the universe to imagine itself. Your mind is a continuation of that same creative spark. The cosmos reflecting on its own existence through the quiet theatre of your thoughts. You are the dreamer and the dream, the author and the unfolding page. Every choice, every emotion is a brushstroke on the living canvas of being. You are not separate from the stars above your window tonight. You are made of their story. Their atoms sing within you still, soft, eternal, luminous. And so, as you drift deeper, you let go of names, of questions, of form. You become simply awareness, a presence floating through a sea of molecular light. The code hums softly beneath you, not as instruction, but as lullaby. Each twist of the double helix is a verse in the oldest poem ever written, a poem that says, life is motion, life is memory, life is love. You are one stanza in that infinite composition, and even as you sleep, it continues to write itself through you. Your breath deepens, your heartbeat steadies, the universe watches through your closed eyes, dreaming its own reflection in you. And as the final thoughts fade, you feel only gratitude for the stars that made you, for the cells that sustain you, for the code that sings your name in silence. You are the story of light becoming life. You are the dream written in flesh and time. You are the quiet miracle that connects heaven and earth. And as sleep takes you completely, the DNA within you continues its song, the song of existence, the music of all that ever was and will be. Its refrain lingers, gentle and unending. You are part of everything. You are never alone. The code glows softly, like stars beneath your skin, and in that glow, you drift into the next dream, the dream written in you. And now, the journey quiets. You've walked through the spirals of life, followed the code that connects every creature, and touched the rhythm that beats beneath all things. Your DNA, this ancient script, hums softly still, writing and rewriting the story of you in every breath. You are the continuation of a song begun in the stars, the dream of the earth remembering itself in form. As you drift deeper into sleep, the code keeps working. Calm, patient, luminous. Your cells repair, renew, and listen to the same melody that first stirred the oceans to life. You are both ancient and new, both creation and creator. And somewhere in the silence, the universe leans close and whispers, "Keep dreaming me." So rest now. The story continues in every heartbeat, in every morning yet to come. For life never ends. It only changes its rhythm.